Y'all ready? Let's go!
This is your wake-up call.
Yeah.
This is your daily reminder.
Yeah.
This is your confirmation.
Yeah.
Turn it up a little bit
This is
louder.
your wake-up
This is your
call.
wake-up
This is
call.
your daily reminder.
Man, I so appreciate your music because, I can't say enough about it.
Thank you.
Listen, I have over 5,000 albums, and I go into conversations with other gospel pontificators, and you still remain in my top 5 because,
Oh man.
no, for real, because you've been able to resonate with a whole new audience. Your melodies, your lyrical content. The only one, and I'm just giving from my perspective, and it's just my take.
Sure.
You are the closest thing that I've heard to Kirk Franklin in the sense that you really you have the ability to create music that can appeal to a variety of audiences. So congratulations on that, man. I really appreciate that.
To me, man.
But what I noticed on this most recent album, it's one of the few albums that you haven't brought on any familiar names to help with conveying a message. You kept it all in-house. Was that intentional, or was that because of the circumstances?
It was both. I mean, circumstantially, I didn't want to put anybody at risk. There's a lot about COVID that we were not familiar with and didn't know. And, we've slowly started to move into, doing things together and collectively. But, I didn't want to gamble with anybody else's life for the sake of a song.
Wow.
But then the other part for me was, with the concept of Stuck in the House, I wanted it to be introspective. It is my work. It is my thoughts. It is my voice. Like you've never heard it before. It's a lot more to me than I've ever sung before. In fact, there's a song on this record that I did all alone without even group therapy, with just a piano, called Enough. It is my heart. So I didn't think anybody else could relay my heart in this album the way that I could, and my experiences with being stuck in the house the way that I could. So that's why I said it was kind of both my compassion towards the artists that I love and care about, and also the choice to say this one myself.
That's beautiful. I'm going to close with one final question.
Sure.
I listened to the whole album, but I really enjoyed the first 2 singles, Amen and Call to Action. But because I don't know if it's fair to say it, because I find that for the most part, African-American Christians haven't necessarily been very proactive when it comes to being politically expressive in recent years.
Sure.
But based on the circumstances of the time, I'm hearing more Christians speak out, whether it be on Twitter or just on social media in general. Do you think this, because your album is not only musically very inviting, but it has a statement, do you think it's something that will be embraced by Christians in general? They can still appreciate, even though as you say, you're speaking from the heart?
That's a great question, first of all. And it was a big deal for me, Chris, honestly, because of what you just said. It's been a slow walk for people like myself to speak up about these kind of injustices. Probably a little slower than I'm proud of, to be honest, even for myself. And a lot of it has to do with, the belief that we should separate church and state and that it shouldn't be political. But this wasn't a political thing. Anybody that has any compassion in their heart, who saw the video of George Floyd being killed,
yes,
whatever your background or religion, should say something. This is like back to a Martin Luther King statement that an injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, and that you have a responsibility to do that. And so one of my favorite Nina Simone quotes says that artists, we have a responsibility to speak to the times.
Okay.
That's why I couldn't keep on with business as usual and just do a record that I'd already planned to do. Is because with the times that we're living in, we have a responsibility to use our voices to say what needs to be said. That's where the songs like What's Going On and other greats have come from. It came from artists taking the responsibility to say, you know what, I have to say something about this. And I hope that you'll hear me. So I knew when I did it, it would come with some who would champion it. It would come with some who would say, hey, stay in your place. But that is my place. It's my responsibility to speak up and say what's gonna make you uncomfortable. John Lewis called it good trouble. I feel good about the decision to say what I said in the song Call to Action. And I hope that it will shake not just our gospel community, but even the Christian community and our white brothers and sisters and every other ethnicity, that if you see that kind of injustice, don't sit on the sideline.
Yes.
Don't just pray in quiet. Say something loud enough so that those who you have influence around will also speak up and say it's wrong too.
Have you been personally surprised or disappointed by the reaction of some of our church brothers, some of our churches that have acted indifferent, or maybe even opposed to some of the circumstances that our people have been facing in recent?
100%. It's been grieving to me.
Yes.
To there are some may say, are afraid to speak up because of who pays the bills and not wanting to lose opportunities and what have you.
Sure.
There's been some others. I myself have had people, accost me online on my social media pages for saying what I said because it doesn't agree with the lineup with what they say. And they say, just sing your songs. We like your songs, but don't get into this fight. But there's no way. The question to me is, if I were George Floyd,
Sure.
or if he was my family member, would I sit on the sides and only sing Trust in You and Worth and just, no, I would be absolutely charged to do and say something.
Sure.
Just because we are a little far removed sometimes, we take the luxury of sitting back on the sidelines and just saying thoughts and prayers. No. This needs a little more than thoughts and prayers. This will take some action. And that's why I spoke up about it.
Y'all ready? Let's go!
This is your